1926.966, Substations, Subpart V. 1926.966, A. Application. This section provides additional requirements for substations and for work performed in them. 1926.966, B. Access and working space. The employer shall provide and maintain sufficient access and working space about electric equipment to permit ready and safe operation and maintenance of such equipment by employees. Note to paragraph B. American National Standard National Electrical Safety Code, ANSI/IEEE C2-2012, contains guidelines for the dimensions of access and working space about electric equipment in substations. Installations meeting the ANSI provisions comply with paragraph B of this section. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration will determine whether an installation that does not conform to this ANSI standard complies with paragraph B of this section based on the following criteria. 1. Whether the installation conforms to the edition of ANSI C2 that was in effect when the installation was made. 2. Whether the configuration of the installation enables employees to maintain the minimum approach distances established by the employer under Section 1926.960, C1I, while the employees are working on exposed, energized parts, and 3. Whether the precautions taken when employees perform work on the installation provide protection equivalent to the protection provided by access and working space meeting ANSI/IEEE C2-2012. 1926.966, C. Draw-out type circuit breakers. The employer shall ensure that, when employees remove or insert draw-out type circuit breakers, the breaker is in the open position. The employer shall also render the control circuit inoperable if the design of the equipment permits. 1926.966, D. Substation fences. Conductive fences around substations shall be grounded. When a substation fence is expanded or a section is removed, fence sections shall be isolated, grounded, or bonded as necessary to protect employees from hazardous differences in electric potential. Note to paragraph D. IEEE STD 80-2000, IEEE Guide for Safety in AC Substation Grounding, contains guidelines for protection against hazardous differences in electric potential. 1926.966, E. Guarding of rooms and other spaces containing electric supply equipment. 1926.966, E1. When to guard rooms and other spaces. Rooms and other spaces in which electric supply lines or equipment are installed shall meet the requirements of paragraphs E2 through E5 of this section under the following conditions. 1926.966, E1I through 1926.966, E1-3. If exposed live parts operating at 50 to 150 volts to ground are within 2.4 meters, 8 feet, of the ground or other working surface inside the room or other space, if live parts operating at 151 to 600 volts to ground and located within 2.4 meters, 8 feet, of the ground or other working surface inside the room or other space are guarded only by location, as permitted under paragraph F1 of this section, or if live parts operating at more than 600 volts to ground are within the room or other space, unless 1926.966, E1-3A through 1926.966, E1-3B, the live parts are enclosed within grounded, metal enclosed equipment whose only openings are designed so that foreign objects inserted in these openings will be deflected from energized parts, or the live parts are installed at a height, above ground and any other working surface, that provides protection at the voltage on the live parts corresponding to the protection provided by a 2.4 meter, 8 foot, height at 50 volts. 1926.966, E2. Prevent access by unqualified persons. Fences, screens, partitions, or walls shall enclose the rooms and other spaces so as to minimize the possibility that unqualified persons will enter. 1926.966, E3. Restricted entry. Unqualified persons may not enter the rooms or other spaces while the electric supply lines or equipment are energized. 1926.966, E4. Warning signs. The employer shall display signs at entrances to the rooms and other spaces warning unqualified persons to keep out. 1926.966, E5. Entrances to rooms and other. the employer shall keep each entrance to a room or other space locked, unless the entrance is under the observation of a person who is attending the room or other space for the purpose of preventing unqualified employees from entering. 1926.966 F. Guarding of energized parts. 1926.966 F. 1. Type of guarding. The employer shall provide guards around all live parts operating at more than 150 volts to ground without an insulating covering unless the location of the live parts gives sufficient clearance, horizontal, vertical, or both, to minimize the possibility of accidental employee contact. Note to paragraph F. 1. American National Standard National Electrical Safety Code, ANSI/IEEE C2-2002 contains guidelines for the dimensions of clearance distances about electric equipment in substations. Installations meeting the ANSI provisions comply with paragraph F. 1 of this section. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration will determine whether an installation that does not conform to this ANSI standard complies with paragraph F. 1 of this section based on the following criteria. 1. Whether the installation conforms to the edition of ANSI C2 that was in effect when the installation was made. 2. Whether each employee is isolated from energized parts at the point of closest approach. And 3. Whether the precautions taken when employees perform work on the installation provide protection equivalent to the protection provided by horizontal and vertical clearances meeting ANSI/IEEE C2-2002. 1926.966 F. 2. Maintaining guards during operation. Except for fuse replacement and other necessary access by qualified persons, the employer shall maintain guarding of energized parts within a compartment during operation and maintenance functions to prevent accidental contact with energized parts and to prevent dropped tools or other equipment from contacting energized parts. 1926.966 F. 3. Temporary removal of guards. Before guards are removed from energized equipment, the employer shall install barriers around the work area to prevent employees who are not working on the equipment, but who are in the area, from contacting the exposed live parts. 1926.966 G. Substation entry. 1926.966 G. 1. Report upon entering. Upon entering an attended substation, each employee, other than employees regularly working in the station, shall report his or her presence to the employee in charge of substation activities to receive information on special system conditions affecting employee safety. 1926.966 G. 2. Job briefing. The job briefing required by Section 1926.952 shall cover information on special system conditions affecting employee safety, including the location of energized equipment in or adjacent to the work area and the limits of any de-energized work area.